Hi everyone, I thought I would make a quick video to talk about the B section of the OEI rubric and talk about what is considered aligned and exemplary. So let's start out with B1, pre-course contact. So it says the purpose of this communication is to welcome students, establish a comfortable class environment, introduce the syllabus, schedule, protocols, and or establish a weekly routine. So some of the things we can do when we create a welcome message is to, first of all, make sure our tone is welcoming, include a link to the school's login page, make sure that students are confirming their email address in the Canvas system so they receive announcements, direct students to the calendar so they're aware of that function in Canvas, and you might include a link to their first assignment, a link to the syllabus. These things are really helpful to students getting started. So to be aligned in this section, there needs to be some kind of instructor contact before the course begins, and you can find that in the announcement section usually when you're looking at a course. And to be exemplary, you're going to make note that there's multiple resources available here for students to get started. There might even be an embedded video that is walking them through the course, one of those navigational tutorials that could be made. So these are things to look for B1. For B2, regular effective contact. So we always want to differentiate B2 from B3. B2 is how the instructor is going to contact the students. So B3, if you look at it, this is how students will contact the instructor. So there's a difference there. So let's look at this. Instructor-initiated contact with students using CMS communication tools and a clear explanation of how and when communication will happen. So there's many ways as instructors that we can stay in contact with students, such as discussions. We could make a weekly video where we're checking in with them, letting them know what's going on that week. We can use feedback in the gradebook. There's audio feedback, video feedback, text feedback we can use. We can make office hours available to them face-to-face or through Zoom and let them know about the Canvas inbox. All of these things are ways in which we can communicate with our students, but we want to make sure that they know how we plan to communicate with them. So one great way to do this is to include a maybe communication and what to expect from me page or something that's marked clearly that's showing how you're going to contact them, how you contact the students. So that's something to look for in these courses. An exemplary course would include multiple ways, not just one way, but multiple ways for the students to contact the instructor. If you move down to B3, student-initiated contact, now again, this is ways in which the student can contact the instructor, and they should be encouraged to initiate contact with the instructor, and the instructor should include expected response times. This is really ideal if it's also put on the homepage saying something like, I will respond to email within 48 hours or whatever your time frame is. And this could also be included in the syllabus. You might make a clearly marked page that outlines these things. And here's different places you could put that contact info. The home page, syllabus page, in the communication plan that you make, or in a getting started module. So these are places we can look for these items. And again, if we see an instructor who has multiple means for students to contact him or her, then that can be exemplary. Now to B4. Now this is student-initiated contact with other students. If you think about a face-to-face classroom, students have a lot of ways to interact with their peers. They might chat before or after class. They might make study groups. And we want to provide these type of opportunities for them in the online classroom. So a lot of times these can be things that are optional or just available to them if they choose to. So here's some ideas for this. Setting up a student lounge where students can go in and just talk with each other or ask questions. This could be made in the discussions area. You could arrange like a study buddy pairing of students if you like. There's a class blog, wiki pages, Twitter. You can enable the chat feature in course navigation for students. And of course, you'd have to instruct students on how to use that. But one thing I do is I make a research essay idea board. So before their research papers due, maybe the week before, I set up an idea board where they can talk to each other about what topic they might like to write about, and that gives them an opportunity to kind of brainstorm with each other. So there's lots of ways to go about this. For exemplary, again, this is going to be a variety of tools that are available to students. If the instructor is providing that for them, then that would be exemplary. Moving to B5, regular effective contact among students. This is trying to facilitate interaction between students and really making a learning community where they feel connected. So creating these discussion board opportunities for them to talk to each other. Also, making the discussion prompts in themselves meaningful. So here's an example of ineffective. Share your thoughts about the grapes of wrath instead of a more specific prompt, like speak from your point of view about one of the internal conflicts depicted in the story. So encouraging that interaction to be deep and meaningful so they can really express their thoughts about the content in the course. And then some other, maybe even adding some other get to know each other activities through the course would be nice. And then there's even opportunities like, this is something I do in my course, a peer review discussion board. So again, I'm in English, so they have a rough draft of an essay, and then I assign them a partner, and they can workshop their paper with that one partner based on questions I provide. So giving them these opportunities to have contact with each other each week is really important. And the exemplary part of this is seeing that the student interaction is responsive to the variety of cultures and communication styles in the learning community. So again, this can often be reflected through the types of discussion board prompts we make, the language we use, and the types of projects they're asked to do, and you can look for that. Finally, B6, this is student participation. So we want to see that there's really clear guidelines for how participation, the quality of it, the quantity of it, so that maybe those instructions are written on the discussion board itself. They're also included in a rubric. And that is exemplary if we see a rubric is attached consistently to each discussion board showing how the interaction should be done. Also, you can include this information in the syllabus or the Getting Started module as well. And then it's also recommended that we have an example discussion poster reply. That's really nice for students to kind of see how you expect them to respond to posts. So having that model is also nice in there as well. So I hope this helps you, and let me know if you have any questions.